Hello guys, Show here. Gonna do a 67 Nightmare dungeon with my Hota Barb, Hammer of the Ancients, and I will go through the gear and my paragon board later. Let's actually drink a potion here. This is a very good one for Hota Barb, the crit one. Wanna get up our fortify here, so we get a lot tankier. And these guys hurt like a truck. If you're not fortified. Well. Not sure if I was fortified there. Might have died to the poison thing. Not sure.
I must wait.
Let's skip that. I think we tanked that one pretty nicely. I believe this is a pretty bad map. There's raids on this map. Raids are very nasty. We can pick this up actually. Might have to finish this. Shrine.
Not ready yet. I must wait.
That is easy. With the shrine. Yeah, I think there's wraiths in this map. You definitely want to avoid the wraiths. The maps that spawn wraiths. Especially at higher tier dungeons. Sir.
Not ready yet.
The scouts up. This is a little cheating. Uptime 100% on. Maybe there is no rates here. 100% uptime on workout is pretty good. That's gonna be your goal, but not sure if you can get that with Hammer of the Ancients. Maybe with Whirlwind, if there's enough monsters. But not with Hammer of the Ancients, that's for sure. As you can see, the damage is okay, even though one of our aspects are actually disabled right now. Edge Master aspect, which is one of our core aspects, currently disabled. So this is gonna deal a lot more damage once they enable it again. The damage is there for the higher tier dungeons. You just need the survivability, so you actually don't get one shot. We could actually skip this one. These ballistas does hurt a lot. I believe you get one shot if you're not fortified sometimes.
I must wait. I must wait.
Need to destroy one more. I believe there's a boss in this one. Here's the last one. Not a boss, actually. Right. 67 dungeon. We did get one death now, but I blame that because I wasn't warmed up. Let's say I wasn't warmed up. Alright. There we go. Gonna go over the gear. I have done a 80 dungeon so far. My goal is to try to do a tier 100 dungeon. However, 80 is quite hard. It takes quite some time, and they need to activate Edge Master, I believe. Alright, so on Helm we have what's this called? Numbing Wrath to get Fortify. So once I press my shouts, I get maybe 3000 Fortify just by that, once we go over the Fury. So that's a good way to start your Fortify generation. It's just quality of life. It's not super needed, I think, because you can get most of your Fortify from the Warbringer aspect in the Paragon board. But I do like this one. Feel free to change this to another defensive one. On Helm we're always looking for cooldown reduction and max Fury. The other good rolls would be armor and life, I think. if this would had life instead of strength, I would say this is the perfect helm for high tier nightmare dungeons. This is what I got though. On our chest, we're using Iron Blood it's called. So I gain 4 damage reduction for each bleeding enemy nearby. And the way we bleed, since we're always forced to use a mace as Hammer of the Ancient, we apply bleed through two-handed sword expertise. So currently we're using this one. There's another way to set this up. I'm gonna go over it later. And on chest we're looking for life and defensive rolls like armor, total armor, damage reduction. So this is a pretty sweet chest. And we always want to have the blue gems on our armor pieces. It gives more survivability than rubies. On gloves, we're currently using anemia aspect, but I'm gonna put Edgemaster here once it's fixed, so we're gonna get a lot more damage. So this is just currently what I'm using temporary. And on gloves, we're looking for lucky hit, crit chance, and free to Hammer of the Ancients. And once you upgrade it, you're gonna get 4. On the pants, we're looking for, or we're currently using protecting, so we get a bubble every 90 seconds. This really helps you in the really high tier dungeons. So in this particular dungeon, I think I could go without this mod, but if you really want to push high tier dungeons, I think this is a really good aspect to have, especially if you're doing team. If you have a group of players with everyone having this, that is gonna help your group a lot for the higher tier dungeons. I would suspect that you would want 4 of these in a tier 100 dungeon in a 4-man group. That would be ideal. And on the stats, we're looking for defensive stats again. So as you can see, total armor, damage reduction from close enemies, damage reduction from distant enemies, damage reduction while fortified. All very good defensive stats. You could go for life here too. And I think the ideal defensive stat is actually dodge chance. I have a pair in my stash, but I need a new aspect for it to replace it. But definitely, like, the ideal one would be dodge, and probably life, and then total armor, and then probably damage reduction to closed enemies. That gives you the highest roll, or the fortify one. On boots, we currently have the Ghostwalker Doomthread. So the Ghostwalker aspect, once we're unstoppable, we're gonna get 25% move speed and walk through our enemies. So it's very nice quality of life. So every time we pop Warcry here, we get 4 seconds berserking. Rallying Cry. Gives us unstoppable here. Which means we're gonna run even faster. And we're gonna be able to walk through the monsters, which can help if you get into a dicey situation. Here we have Limitless Rage on our weapon. I think this aspect you want to put on your two-hander because it's one of the strongest one. And we're looking for, on weapons, we're always looking for vulnerable damage, crit damage, third best. Those 2 are a must, and then third best is close damage to close enemies, and then strength. All stat is fine. It does help in the paragon board to get certain nodes, but ideally, currently in my setup I have too much extra willpower and too much dexterity, which you need for the extra nodes. So I could go for strength here, ideally. Same here, vulnerability and crit damage always, and then close damage we have, and strength. So this one is kind of ideal. And here we have of retribution aspect, which stuns enemies that hit you from a distance, and you deal 40% more damage to stunned enemies. And we do stun enemies quite often. I'm gonna go over the ability that actually stuns, which is in the skill tree. Currently we're using this aspect. Not sure what I want to put in this slot. When I'm doing easier content, I'm using temerity instead of these pants. And I have the aspect that gives you more damage once you have a barrier, and temerity gives you a barrier. But I think for higher tier content, you want to have a more defensive pant piece. So I think there's two options here. Either this one, we don't really gonna stand still in high tier dungeons, so this is not amazing. We do sometimes stand still, especially against like bosses, and if we have the bubble up from this aspect, then we would actually stand still. But there's the other one that once you hit with a basic skill, your next core skill deals up to 30% more damage, which could be another choice. There's some other choice like this one. We get extra stun, but that's up for testing, I think. Another 200, we have Hammer of the Ancients. Quakes outwards, this is a must, and I decided to put it on the two-hander because I do some PvP, and this is Hammer of the... If you haven't tried Hammer of the Ancient in PvP, I think it's the best build for it. I only lose to other Hammer of the Ancient characters, pretty much, and this makes the AoE much better in those situations, and it's more quality of life to have 100% on your whole area of damage instead of putting this in a glove where it would be 50%, I believe. Yeah, 50% instead. On our rings we have Echoing Fury, a must for any Barbarian build, and Bold Chieftain to also a must. So this basically, when we have our shouts up, this is how we generate all our mana. As you can see, we don't have any basic skills, so this is the only way we really generate our mana. So as long as we have the shouts up, we have infinite mana with this combination of rings. I can't really have the shouts up 100% of the time. The Whirlwind build would have better time doing that, but this is good enough. You'd have some downtime where you can't do anything. And if you don't like that, you can just use a basic skill and generate mana that way. I'm currently using Iron Skin instead. And on rings we're looking for crit chance and resource generations. The other two, I would say, ideally you would have max life for pushing high tier dungeons. But if you're doing easy content, vulnerable damage is the best, and lucky hit. Or crit damage. More damage is good. So here we have the same. I think lucky hit isn't like the greatest. I'm looking to change these rings a bit and have more defensive abilities once we're pushing the tier 100 dungeons. On the amulet I put disobedience aspect, the best defensive aspect in the game, and we put it on amulet since we're... So currently our armor is almost 9,000 and we reduce by 81%. However, your max is gonna be 85. So we're gonna go over that number. I'm not sure how how the armor works against the higher tier monsters, if the actually extra armor helps you or not. But this will push us over the edge for the 85% damage reduction. On our expertise we have oh yeah, what you want on your amulet is cooldown reduction, more shot duration, key to the build, and the fury cost reduction is the 2 key. The third best would be free to all defensive skills, and the fourth would be a defensive one just like this one. So this is a pretty perfect amulet except the rolls. And how we apply bleed is through two-handed expertise, so that would be benefit the ability here. 20% damage reduction against bleeding, and we also have this aspect here with benefits, and we have some paragon points too, which gives us even more damage reduction against bleeding. And let's go over the skill tree. So on 2 here, we need 2 on the first. Launching strike is best. If you want to use a basic skill, I would recommend putting combat launching strike, so you can get berserk. We do crit a lot with this build. I believe we have over 40% here currently. Max Hammer of the Ancients, Enhanced Hammer of the Ancients, Furious Hammer of the Ancients. This is the best one. We also want to max pressure point. Max the Rallying Cry for more Fury generation. Enhanced Rallying Cry, Tactical Rallying Cry for more resource generation. 1 into Shout, 1 into Enhanced Shout, 1 into Tactical Challenge Shout for more Fury. Warcry, 1. Enhanced Warcry, 1. Power Warcry, 1. I have put 3 into Booming Voice, 3 into Guttural Yell for more damage reduction. So that would be 36 damage reduction to every monster we shout, which is great, especially in a team play. I have put 1 into Raid Leader for quality of life. If you're using Temerity, I would recommend putting max on this, 3 on this. But that's mostly for easy content, regular content. 3 to aggressive resistance for more damage reduction. Prolific Fury for more Fury generation. We got Pit Fighter here for more survivability and more damage. I max counter offensive for more damage. We're always maxed fortify pretty much. Max into heavy handed, max into envelop, and this is how we stun our enemies. So we have a 45% chance to stun, and I believe Hammer of the Ancients has a base of 50% plus, so we do stun a lot, which does help a lot in the higher tier contents. If they are stunned, they can't attack you. Max on Wrath or Berserker, and then Unbridled Rage. Paragon. Let's go over it. So first node we have Wrath, Vulnerable. We have gone to Warbringer tree. Get this one. This is how we generate most of our Fury. We spend a lot of Fury and we get max 45 very quickly. Hungering Fury for more Fury. More Fury means more damage. We got criticals or Ref glyph here. Maxed out. Core reserve is really good, 16 max Fury. Then we have gone to the flawless technique board. Here we have Havoc, which will give us 30% more crit damage. I'm currently using Territorial here. I was using... Where is it? Here. This Bobble, which will actually help you have more war cries or shouts up. But I felt like this didn't proc well enough to justify it. Maybe you have better... you had a better result with this, but it never felt like actually reduced the cooldown by a lot. So I've decided to put Territorial here for more damage reduction. And what I'm doing, if I want to use the disembowel, I just cut this node and add this node, so I can show it to you. So I put disembowel here. I'm lacking 1 willpower, so I do just cut this and add this one, and then we can activate disembowel if we actually want that instead. So this is a very flexible board. You don't have to spend a lot to change up your board. Put back Territorial, I prefer that. And next we have gone to the Decimator. Here we have put Marshal. We get a lot of bonuses here from the magic glyphs from Marshal, so I think this is ideal place to put Marshal on. We get a lot of vulnerable damage, damage reduction against vulnerable, very sweet. Then we have gone to Pillage here. Next node we have is Imbiber. Gives us a better potion healing. Let's go over the node there. It's Weapon Master. I've gone down here to Hunter Killer. As you can see, you're gonna need a lot of dexterity to actually meet the requirement to get this. That's why all stat on your weapons can be helpful. And Iron Strength here, Raw Power. Next we have Undaunted for more damage reduction while fortified, and we have also taken the Grit. And here you can see we have exactly enough willpower to get this node. So I actually need the all stat on the weapons. And that's all the stats. We have utilized everything here. I will link the board, the paragon board, and the skill tree in the description, so you can just click that and see how I've done it. Hope you liked the guide and the gameplay. If you like it, go ahead and follow. You can also follow me on twitch.tv/show. I stream almost every day, and currently we're trying to push tier 100 dungeons. Have a good one, everybody.